What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, and the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon account. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try, recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to, so click the link. Now, with that being said, we're here today to do kind of a top 5 2001 best film thing. I'm going to make my own little list telling you guys about my favorite top 5 movies of 2021. Now, me personally, I have a huge grudge against 2021 because so many films were supposed to come out and a lot of them were super disappointing. And I think that's a video for another day. I am going to make a video sometime in the near future talking about how 2021 was a bust. But it wasn't a complete bust because here I have a top 5 list of movies, right? And I think I have a pretty solid list. And let's just go ahead and just dive right into it, right? So, coming in at number 5 is a movie you guys probably aren't familiar with. It is a Mexican-American. It's a Mexican French art film by the name of New Order, right? It came out at the beginning of the year. It's directed by a guy named Michael Franco. The movie is basically following like an uprising that's going on in Mexico City between the lower class and the upper class, and we're following what happens after one of the upper class citizens, one of the higher ups, their daughter gets kidnapped. So we're kind of following what's going on with her and also kind of what's going on with the family as they're trying to get her from this hostage situation. And they're also watching the world around it crumble. This movie is a very dark movie, if I need to say so. It could be very kind of cringy at some times, but the director has a very good eye. There's some scenes and some shots that are really well done. You can tell that a lot of this was done with a with a very low budget, but the thing about it is it's a very artsy film, and I feel like it was done very well. It was one of the movies that I saw at the more towards the beginning of the year. Not too many people have heard about it. Only if you're a real true like cinema movie goer will you possibly have seen this movie. But I've seen it. I saw it. It was really good. It was something that caught my eye. I remember watching I forgot what movie I was watching and I saw the trailer. Or I was watching something and the trailer came up and I was like, that movie looks very interesting. Here's my advice is that when you guys are looking for a really good film, you can't just go American. You have to kind of like dibble and dabble in foreign films. Squid Games was a huge hit, and imagine how many people would have not been exposed to that genre, Korean film or Korean TV shows, if they would have not dibbled and dabbled in that genre. There's so many more films. I feel like Parasite kind of busted it open for everybody, but I really feel like people should probably kind of like dive into more foreign films. There's a lot of good Spanish movies out there. There's a lot of good Mexican American movies out there. There's so many really good movies out there that people need to check out. But going back to New Order is a really good film. Great shot, good story. It could be kind of really hard to watch at times. Very dark movie. It's artsy, but I don't feel like they. The one good thing about this movie is I don't feel like the art aspect of it muddies the story. I hate when I watch a movie like a Titan or something like that, and you have this art element to it, which I feel like just dampers the freaking story. Now, another cool thing about it is that this movie is low-key about like kind of a secretive military mutiny going on and trying to kind of overthrow the government and replace it with a new government type deal. And like I said, it's a really interesting thing. And towards the end of the movie, you really start to get on pins and needles because you feel like you're finally coming to that final resolution. And then you get to the end of the movie, and you guys will see what I'm talking about once you get there. I don't want to spoil anything. The movie's really good. I think you guys should check it out. Coming in at number 4. The one thing I don't like to do, I don't really like to choose biopics for top movies. But I mean, this year was so like barren when it comes to good films that I feel like I have to choose biopics in order to like fill in the void. To me, biopics are always really good movies because you really don't have to do too much. It's about somebody's life. A lot of the life is already kind of out there, and you can kind of determine whether it's going to be an interesting story or not. And then most of the time, the audience member is going to go see the movie because they have some sort of interest in the character or some sort of connection with the character. So it automatically makes for like a plus for that person. They're always going to grade that movie high because it's somebody that you're familiar with or somebody that you like, and either you're going to feel like they did it justice or they didn't do justice, right? So I guess an example, a biopic that I didn't like was Jimi Hendrix, the Jimi Hendrix biopic. But that's a topic for another story. But I'm talking about King Richard, directed by Ronaldo Marcus Green, and starring none other than Will Smith. This movie is following the father of Venus and Serena Williams and how he basically mapped out their life, and he had a plan in place in order to get them to where they needed to go. He basically took them from Compton, California, and then basically pushed them into stardom. Really, really good movie. Good acting by Will Smith. Really caught the essence of like LA in the early eras. It was really cool to see. Like, it was a really nice thing to see, especially some of the local locations that you see in a movie. I love when you watch a movie that's filmed in your location and you're sitting there, you're like, I think I know where that park is, or I think I know where that is, right? Um, it was really interesting to see how they grew up and the hardships that they had to go through, and then also Richard himself, like the things that he experienced and the things that he went through. Um, it gets to some points in time where you kind of get frustrated with his character, because you're just like, he's being too stubborn, but at the same time you have to the movie does a good job at kind of explaining out who he is so that you kind of see where he's coming from and why he's being like that. But at the same time, I think this movie was delivered very well. It was well acted. It was well done. The casting for Richard by Will Smith, being Will Smith, that's an excellent pick. Also, the young girls that played Serena and Venus were super likable, super awesome. I loved the movie from the beginning to end, kept my interest all the way through. And another thing I'm noticing about this year is full of movies that are like damn near all 2 hours and longer. So kudos to them for being able to hold people's attention spans. I feel like Endgame is kind of responsible for that. Even though I've been watching long movies for a long time, I feel like Endgame basically checked to see if a general audience can sit in their seat for longer than an hour and a half. And ever since that, I guess, experiment passed, they've been just flooding the market because this year is full of 2 hour films. But yeah, shout out to King Richard for being coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have A Quiet Place number 2, directed by John Krasinski. Krasinski. He's basically the director from the first film. He's acted a little bit in his career, and this basically film follows the first movie, right? It follows the first movie. Like, that's really all you need to know. The movie takes place right after the first one, and then basically kind of gives you a backstory about how this alien invasion kind of happened. A little bit, not too much. It just gives you kind of like what happened on that day, and it kind of, like I said, and it continues the other story. I feel like this movie did a really good job at continuing the story of the previous film. It was really well acted, really well done, and I mean, like I said, it's a movie that you had to experience in the movie theater. I think if I'm not mistaken, this is the very first film that me and my wife went to go see in the movie theaters, and she didn't like the movie. She didn't like it as much as I did. She wanted me to replace this movie with Cruella, which honestly is another great, 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 amazing film. It deserves a spot on this list, but it was a hard choice, a hard fought battle. But I picked Quiet Place over Cruella. But Cruella is a super, 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 super amazing film that people should check out. It's well acted. The score is amazing, and I don't want to take away A Quiet Place's too much shine, but you guys should definitely check out Cruella. It also deserves that sequel. Like I said, Quiet Place 2, although it's not better than Part 1, it's not as good as Part 1. It's still not far behind Part 1. Part 1 is like an A movie, like straight up, like super A movie, right? Part 2 is kind of like a B plus, A minus area, right? But it's really well done. I feel like it was done with taste, it was done with class, and it did a really good job at continuing the story without trying to muddy it and feeling like this is just a bunch of people sitting in an office and said, well, we struck gold with the first movie, so what do we need to do now, right? That's what I didn't want, which is what I felt like with The Matrix. I really felt like The Matrix was just like, yo, we need to take this popular franchise and we need to resurrect it. So what ideas do we have, It didn't feel like that. This franchise, I really hope that it continues. It's a great film franchise, and I hope there's more to come. But Quiet Place 2 definitely deserved a spot on my list, coming in at number 3, I believe. Coming in at number 2, being The Ricardos. Directed by Aaron Sorkin, who has written a bunch of freaking amazing movies. And he also directed a few well-received movies like Molly's Game and Trial of the Chicago 7. Now, We had an opportunity to see this movie earlier on in the year. Sad to say I didn't take the opportunity to go see it. I came off of work, I was tired. I just didn't feel like waiting in a freaking screener line. But I definitely regret passing up on this movie. Being the Ricardos is a freaking amazing movie, starring Nicole Kidman, Javier Bardem, J.K. Simmons, and Nina Arianda. They all do an amazing job as Ethel, Fred, Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz. Knock it out of the freaking park. Now, I was kind of skeptical at first about Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball because I was like, yo, she don't look like her. I seen these little screen tests. Like, I'm not digging it, right? Especially with her hair down. She didn't look like her. But whenever they did the little flashback scenes that she pinned up her hair like Lucy, she looked just like her, like straight up replica. And then these two characters, freaking Nicole Kidman and Javier both did a really good job at trying to like get the essence of who Lucy and Ricky were. You know, like they really just tried to play out. They acted like them. They did the mannerisms. They did the voicing. And I know I haven't done a review for this on the channel, and I need to because it was just a really good movie. I'm going to get around to it very soon, but this movie definitely is one of the movies that you should watch. It puts so much respect on not only Lucille Ball's name because she had an eye. And I didn't realize that how essential she was to this TV show. She had a freaking eye for certain things. Like, she knew what was going to be funny. She questioned things. She's like, yo, we can't treat our audience like they stupid. Like, they're not going to do this, not going to do that, you know. And I'm going to give you a heads up now. This movie is filmed in a specific frame of Lucille's life. It's not like from the beginning all the way to the end type shit. It is a specific moment in her life, a moment that I was unfamiliar with. So that was really interesting to learn, kind of like the more information about it, you know. You already, like, I knew about the pregnancy thing and how they were saying that they were against her having the baby on the air and being pregnant on the air and da da da. But it was really nice to see the conflicts and the politics that went on about it behind the scenes. And you also get to see how freaking strong arm steady this man Desi Arnaz was. This man was well respected, and I didn't realize that he was such a like. You really don't think about it. Like, I didn't think about it. Desi Lou Productions. They got a freaking production company named after them, you know? And I never really thought too much about it until, like, I was watching this movie. I'm like, yo, they have their own production company. And then in the movie, they talk about all the things that Ricky did. And they talk about all the things that Lucy did. You didn't really realize how much of an essential freaking focal point they were to this TV show. And how important they were to the functioning of the show. And this movie highlights everything from the problems between Lucy and Ricky, or Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and the problems that she had with freaking Vivian or Ethel, and J.K. Simmons also does a freaking amazing job as Fred Mertz. I might add, he automatically sounds just like him, but just watching him embody that character, all of these characters did a really good job, and I feel like this is one of the movies that definitely everybody should go watch. Right? It's on Amazon. It don't cost you no money. You just got to have a Prime membership. Go watch it because that's a really good movie. Dope movie. Coming in at number 1, Ghostbusters Afterlife, right? And everybody's going to be like, yo, you picked Ghostbusters Afterlife for number 1? Yes, the fuck I did. And the reason why I did this is because this literally was one of the most enjoyable movies I've seen this year. I had so much freaking fun watching this movie. And I went into this movie with low expectations. I was watching the trailers. I wasn't sold by these trailers. I just didn't have any high hopes or any high standards for this movie. And when I watched this movie, man, it freaking blew me away, right? And like, as much as I don't like Paul Rudd's character, I don't like the way he is. I don't like him as an actor, really. I don't understand what's his appeal to people. He fits in pretty well in this movie, right? He fits in pretty well with this movie, and if they continue more in the franchise, I can see how he is shoehorned in. Now, do I want him to be a focal point in this movie? Hell nah. I don't. I don't want him to be a focal point in any of this franchise if it does move forward as a franchise. I don't want him as a focal point, any of that shit. You know, he should stay as kind of like a supporting cast, pop up here and there, say some funny shit, and then move on, you know. I don't want him to be a serious focal point in this franchise. I don't want it, right? But this movie is directed by Jason Reitman, who is the son of the director of the original Ghostbusters movies. If you didn't know, now you know. The movie stars a bunch of actors, but It features a bunch of cameos that I don't want to talk about because if you haven't seen the movie already, I don't want to spoil it. But it also has Paul Rudd, as I mentioned, McKenna Grace, who does an amazing job as Phoebe, and Finn Wolfhard, who you guys might know from Stranger Things. Now, McKenna does an amazing job as Phoebe, dude. She really plays that nerdy, awkward uh, part to the T. Like, she did such a freaking amazing job. She's such a likable character. I really would like correlate. This character was just dope. I liked her character. I feel like she knocked it out of the park. I feel like she did a great job. Everything about her was dope in this movie. This movie was well written. It gave you so much nostalgia points. So much respect was thrown on the name. And there's like such an emotional scene in this movie. And it's done with so much taste, so much grace, that I feel like any original Ghostbusters fan will appreciate it. You know, any true to heart Ghostbusters fan is gonna love this damn movie. You know, this is what they wanted. We didn't want the all girl cast remake that was garbage, but this is the movie that we wanted. This was a good movie. It was a really, really damn good movie. And it was cool, like the way that they just played it off and they had it tie into the original Ghostbusters. Everything was just done with so much grace and so perfect. And I just hats off to the team and everybody that was involved in this project, because this by far was one of the most enjoyable movies of this year. Like, hands down, it was one of the most enjoyable movies of this year. I love this movie a lot. It's definitely something that I'm going to be copying, and I already ordered it, the 4K set. That's coming whenever it drops. I think it's coming in February. But definitely, Ghostbusters was my number one of this year. Number one of this year. I love that movie so much. It was so dope. It was fun. I had so much fun watching that damn movie. It's something I could pop in right now and probably be watching. But if you're a true Ghostbusters fan, it's definitely something that you want to go check out. So just like that, I'm going to tell you guys maybe a few movies that I did not get a chance to see, and that's the reason why they're not on my list. So those movies are House of Gucci, Licorice Pizza, Last Duel, Lamb, and Nightmare Alley. Sorry, I almost said Midnight Alley. These are movies that I have not gotten a chance to watch yet, but I feel like they other than Licorice Pizza and maybe Last Duel, I can't see any of these movies really dethroning anything on my top list. I don't think Lamb or Nightmare Alley or House of Gucci has that type of potential. The thing about some of these movies is they have a lot of hype behind them, and sometimes the hype just doesn't live up. So I'm done being hyped for movies, especially if 2021 has taught me anything, it is not to be hyped about any movies, because all the movies I was hyped about, all the movies that I was looking forward to, they just never panned out. And that's just it. That's 2021 in a nutshell. And I'll make a separate video explaining that somewhere down the road, maybe in a couple of days. I'll get to it eventually. But look, let me know if any of the movies on that I mentioned that I have not seen. Let me know if you've seen the movie and it deserves a slot on my list. You know, it's definitely something I'm going to watch. And if I feel like after I watch it, if it's really good and I feel like it deserves a spot, then definitely I'm going to stop what I'm doing and I'm going to make a review on it. And I'll talk about how it's top 5 worthy, you know. But as is right now, this is my list. I feel like I have a solid list. I feel like I've covered every ground. A lot of movies came into this year with a lot of potential. A lot of them came and swung and they missed terribly. We can't keep blaming COVID on everything and saying, well, COVID did this and COVID did that. COVID's not responsible for this badass writing. COVID's not responsible for this bad directing, this bad direction, any of that, right? You can't keep blaming COVID for everything, you know. It's sorry to say, but it is what it is. So that's my list. Let me know if you agree or disagree with anything on my list. Let me see your top 5 list. Don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that damn bell so you can be notified whenever I drop a video. Until next time, you are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. I hope you guys are having a magnificent day. And adios. Let me see your list.